Alright, so on September 23rd, I vacated my house. In about 10 or 12 hours, we rented a truck, I packed everything, moved it onto the truck, moved it across town to another town, and dropped it off. And afterwards, I went off with my buddy who helped me move, and spent the night over at his place. And in my reality, September 23rd is not over until noon on the 24th, because your day starts at noon. That's what Genesis 1 tells you. What happened to Kevin in that span when I was with my buddy after our move? We literally had maybe like 6 hours together before we went to bed, and like 6 hours together before I had to leave again at like, whatever, the afternoon. So we figured out the Eureka. It's the 3-4-5 Eureka, the 3-4-5 triangle Eureka, applied to the cellular energy device. Cat, just go fuck off, please. I don't need this right now. So what happened was we thought about, like, I've always been worried about the wheel turning not fast enough to produce anything useful. But how do we get around that? Quite simply, you add more wheels to the axle. Now, one of my buddies who actually like understands what I'm talking about and thinks like I do, was daydreaming about this, and he told me that he just saw a bunch of wheels on the same axle with a bunch of different solenoid configurations to boost, let's say, the axle, to make it turn faster. Now, we started thinking about what the number should be for these axles. Now, if you understand that in my cellular energy diagram, or my model, I have a 1 is equal to 60 millimeters, okay? That's just how constructs are created. A 1 is a 60. Now, the cellular energy device is a 2x2x2 inside a 6x6x6 inside an 8x8x8. Now, if we think logically now, well, before we think logically, let's talk about Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail, guy. The globulus crucifix is the holy hand grenade. Okay? The number of the count shall be 3, not 4. Not 2, only if it is to be counted and then said 3. Definitely not 5, right? 3 makes 4 makes 5, okay? The diagonal or the hypotenuse will always be longer than the rest of the sides of a triangle. Shocking. What I propose is that on every axis, a cube has 6 faces and 8 vertices. The 6 faces are going to need 3 wheels each, okay, on your x, negative x, y, negative y, z, negative z. Because it's an 8x8x8 in the end of the day, okay? Half of that is a 4. So if you're gonna go 1, 2, 3 wheels, you're gonna go up 4, you're gonna need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wheels on the diagonal, because those wheels are gonna be like a quarter the size. I haven't really done the math. Maybe it's like, maybe the ratio is pi even, I don't know. The size of the wheels on the diagonal, okay, because there's space. Because if you only have 1 wheel on all the faces and 1 wheel on the vertices, you're not making a cube. You're not recreating the cube of Saturn. You're creating more of a different type of shape, okay? It doesn't have corners anymore. It has like flat wheels. But if you extend those diagonals further, then you would extend the faces. I think it would make another cube. So those are the plans to the Death Star, okay? Literally, guys, okay? I watched The Force Awakens and Rogue One back to back last night, and I'm the only one that understands what it means, okay? Everyone was pissed off at The Force Awakens because they're mad that it was just a repeat of A New Hope, but where a girl is replaced instead of a boy, and the girl picks up things way faster. You know what the difference is? She was never taught anything. She didn't have a teacher. Remember how I said all the Jedis are the Masons of life? The Jedis keep the order in the galaxy? Yeah, they're the Masons that keep you enslaved. And they were taught what they were taught by other Masons, this ancient esoteric knowledge about energy that you and I were never told about. Because how do you keep yourself at the top of a pyramid when you need a lower class? A bunch of idiots, a bunch of useful idiots, the goy, to not understand fuck all. Well, I'm not a Mason, and I'm self-taught, and I'm very, very smart. But being smart in this world is like being handicapped because of the sheer amount of ignorance with the stupid fucking retards of life. Do you get me on this? Do you see the gematria I do? Do you follow how I'm looking for Jesus, which are the G's are us. I'm looking for the people to understand what I have to say so they can rise above and start pointing fingers at our slavers, at the master class of this reality. But all I get back, for the most part, is ignorance. I'm tired of ignorance. I want to change the world, and the more I put others before myself, the more I'm stepped on by others. You give someone an inch, they'll take a mile. Everyone keeps telling me, you can't be a nice guy, Kevin. You gotta be more of an asshole. I'm not gonna be an asshole. I am me. I want to change the world. I want to be the father of energy, let's say. Metatron. Someone who understands the numbers and tries to teach the other people, the goy, about the divine unique symmetry between the divine masculine and divine feminine. So the Force Awakens is basically someone who has faith in the stories of old, who knows a little bit about it and applies themselves or herself and picks it up on her own. Now, the movie doesn't really suggest that she learns the math all by herself, but one can kind of extrapolate that from the metaphor of the fiction story. Now, what's Rogue One about? Rogue One is about getting the Death Star plans off that planet and beaming them to a ship. You know? Communication. Trying to transmit the plans or truth out to the goy. Okay? So, I'm trying to do just that. I'm trying to share what I have learned and learned on my own with the world so they can wake up and see the trees from the forest. Now, again, I'm not sure. I haven't really looked into brushless DC motors all that much because I still haven't had time, but I think that the magnets on the inside or on one side of the solenoid on the inside of the wheel, I think they're fixed. I don't think they're rotating. I think like the 8 magnets are going to be fixed. So if you think of a poppy, when you spin the red only spins and the black or the green dot stays stationary. I think that's what happens. So you know what? I'm man enough to admit that my model is off. I was wrong. But so what? I learned from my mistakes. I have no ego. If those 8 magnets are supposed to be stationary, and then we have the 36 solenoids, get this. Remember I said I want 4 groups of them? An ABC, an ABC, and an ABC. A trinity. So A is 1 wire, B is 1 wire, C is 1 wire. And I've said 36 solenoids in a ring is like 360. 400 windings on each solenoid makes 144,000. Technically, it's only 36 times 400, which is 14,400 trapsoles, you know what I'm saying? But it's in a ring. In Gatineau, or in Ottawa, back when I was a child, there was an AM radio station called Energy 1200. What's 400 times 3? 1200. Energy 1200. What more do I need to prove to you? Okay, I see the symbolism in the movies. I see the symbolism in real life. I see the power of speaking in truth and decoding it with gematria to mind blast yourself with a whole bunch of profound sentences that others have written. Now, I don't know who these people are. I've also seen what happens when you try to use gematria and kind of pump yourself up and write stupid shit like Stephen James Dyson and Zachary James Carr. How they're everywhere, they're littered all over that website and they don't have a fucking clue, but every once in a while they speak in truth. A lot of the time they don't. They're kind of like the example of what not to do. I am looking for other G's. Okay, I'm looking for us to unite as one and take down these people. And the only way to do that is to educate the masses and to show them the truth which has been hidden in plain sight all their lives in every story. Okay? Now, here's another funny story, okay? I was told by some guy who's really into Star Trek. He looked into the whatever. Let's just call him a whatever, the propulsion unit on the Starship Enterprise, and from Star Trek he thinks he's like an engineer that could repair them if they were broken, because he knows that there are 18 different boosters in those warp drives, let's say. Okay, and there's 2 of them. Now, he told me that the first 3 are connected, so like a 3 is a 1, and then after the 3 is a 1, it goes through 15 of them. Now what's 15? 15 is just a circled 14. So if you need to have 3 as a 1, that would explain, let's say, the 3 wheels on the faces of the free energy cell. And then if you were to warp them, or whatever, have the propulsion of another 15, all that means is circled 14, or the 14 axles. You need to know that the 3 is the 1, and then there's 14 axles to make a new one, okay? But then I think about the Monty Python, and I think about, maybe they're all 3, you know, maybe they all need 3, but I think that, he told me that, what if we just did a ring, okay, a ring of heaven, and let's say the X direction, had our axle go in with a magnet on it, and then had 1 wheel, and then 2 wheel, and 4 wheel, and we put 18 wheels on it. Well, first of all, your axle will be so long. If that thing is turning at 6,000 or 10,000 RPMs, I don't think it would withstand, because, again, you're making a heart field. There's a weak side with that one magnet in heaven, a small magnetic field, and then you have all your wheels creating this huge magnetic field. I think there would be too much vibration. I think it would all crumble apart, especially if you use some kind of, like, whatever the fuck it is for 3D printing, whatever that plastic's called. I don't know, maybe it's plastic. I have even looked into the material used for 3D printing to see if it actually conducts like a static charge or not, because I don't want anything that I want it to be neutral, guys, like wood. Like Jesus was a carpenter. Yeah, Jesus. Don't believe your Jesus all you want, you Bible people, you government people, and you religion people in general. Really, you guys need to wake up. Okay. So I think that if I made it a 3D printed axle with 18 wheels on it, it would just shatter because of the sheer speed. It would break. But then the guy said, okay, well, my friend said, like, okay, what if we did one going this way, circle, and then one going the other way, and having balance in the X and negative X? I said, there'd still be a wobble in this direction, in this direction, in this direction, in this direction, in this direction. You know, all faces and all vertices of the cube must be symmetrical to create balance, that ever important word, which symbolically means the number 9. So I think the number of the count should be 3 on the faces, not 4, depicting half of an 8x8x8 cell, and definitely not 5. I think there should be 5 on the 8 vertices and 3 wheels on the 6 faces, with a single magnet in heaven, which is 3 rings with 32 magnets each, creating 160 magnets, plus your 14 magnets on your axle, your 174 magnets. A 174. You know, why does Ottawa have a 417 highway? Why does Ottawa have a 174 highway? Just coincidence, I guess. Why is the Oz Dome located on the 144 exit on Highway 417? Why, when I'm driving down the 416, well, we have a 416 as well. Circle that's a 417. Anyway, why is there markers for, like, you know, the 42nd kilometer? You know, all the important numbers are there. I see them. So yes, I do believe that September 23rd something crazy happened, and that was that my friend and I eureka'd the plans to the Death Star, and I think I finally concluded what I want to 3D print and what I want to fabricate for my energy cell. Okay? Thank you for the support, guys. Just keep on being.